Good day, nerds, and welcome to episode 54 of the Nerd Cantina Show. I'm your host, Ken, joined by the co-host and founder of the nerdcantina.com, Steve. And this week, we're going to cover a bunch of nerd topics, starting with some entertainment news surrounding the Sonic studio that redesigned the image of Sonic shutting down in Vancouver. We also have the latest news on the Xbox Series X, which was announced this week. And then we're going to move into the tech space and talk over Amazon's future plans as an internet service provider. We've got SpaceX vowing to no longer destroy our astronomy.
And a bunch of cyber attacks.
Stick around. Enjoy the show.
Calling back all nerds. Nerds!
All right, well, welcome back, nerds, to episode 54. Thanks for joining us, and this week is a big week in entertainment, as we are 4 days away at the time of recording this. At the time of release, it'll be 2 days away from Star Wars.
Dun dun dun! Yeah, I got my ticket. I'm waiting. I got the 9:45 Thursday night show, so I won't see it at 7. So there will be a handful of people that beat me to it, but my kids got to go to sleep, and then I go see movies.
That means you got to put earmuffs on as you walk to the car, as that 7 o'clock show might be getting out.
I don't know.
At the time you're walking in.
I'm a pretty big dude. Most people shut the fuck up when I come walking up. Pretty big dude with Darth Vader tattooed on his hands. You fucked it up for me. I'm fucking your face.
And then I think I'm hoping to go see it. The logistics of the children are still up in the air, but I think I'm going to see it like 10 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, I still have to go see the other 2 movies I wanted to see this week or last week. I went and saw Jumanji on Thursday, but I still want to see that Bombshell, and I still want to see that Clint Eastwood movie. It's gonna be a tough week. Might make the girlfriend mad.
All right, well, let's get into the news. And first one, we talked about it back at the very beginning of us starting this podcast. I think it was one of the first episodes where it was the whole debacle around the Sonic trailer coming out and it looking terrible. And for many reasons, right? It looks like just a bad movie. The original Sonic, it was terrible. And we debated whether the fact that Twitter outrage caused them to redesign it was a good idea or not. But now that studio that was responsible for redesigning Sonic is shutting its doors. It's closing down in Vancouver.
Fucking Twitter, man. I hope you feel good about yourself, because there's 100 people that just got fired right before Christmas. So they didn't really go into details too much about.
I was gonna say, it's unclear on if it's actually in any way associated with...
it has nothing to do with an extra $100 million worth of work they had to do. Couldn't possibly be that.
The production company isn't shutting down. They're just shutting down their Vancouver office. They sent it out in an email. Yeah, again, 2 weeks before Christmas, that they're shutting down effective immediately. Just closing that place down.
Hey, thanks for all that hard work, not making Sonic look like a scary monster for children. By the way, pack up your shit because you're fired. I mean, this goes back to the podcast we had with the TakeThis.org. Is, you know, they put these dudes under crunch to do a big job, and then there's really no reward for it. It's all, you know, this "what have you done for me" kind of lately. It's like the NFL. Like, you know, if you're not producing yards and touchdowns, like the second they don't need you, you're cut.
Yeah, I think that's really the big takeaway from the story is man, these jobs that exist in kind of these design studios, whether it's video games or movies, they can almost just get put up for a singular project, and once that project's over, your job security is gone. Like there's almost no reason for them to keep these big staffs when they're not redesigning a movie. And maybe this firing is because of their screw up with Sonic, that they didn't get hired on for the next 2 or 3 movies that they were bidding out or they were trying to do, because everybody was like, well, you guys were the Sonic people, right? No, thanks. And then here it is, job security gone, because if they don't have future projects to work on, why would you keep 100 designers on staff?
Yeah, everybody at the interview are just like, you were probably the guy with the teeth. You handled the teeth, didn't you? Like, in the back of his head, he's like, I just don't want that tooth, asshole.
So, sorry to hear about you guys' jobs, but do better next time, I guess.
I mean, so at some point, they're gonna have to come together and either unionize, or like when you go to get these jobs, they need to be on like a contract basis. You know what I mean? Like, look, you're gonna employ me for 2 years, whether you got a project or not. I'm gonna make X amount of money in those 2 years. When that 2 years is up, like, it's gonna have to, like, these coders and designers are gonna have to start really thinking about their future and protecting themselves, and have to make some tough arguments and sacrifices.
Yeah, we'll see what this is. It looks a lot like what we talk about with in the video game industry. So curious to see. But talking about crunch in video games, we can move on to the big news coming this week from Xbox. At the Video Game Awards, they announced and unveiled the appearance, really, of what is the next console, the Series X.
Yeah, there's multiple rumors on the capabilities. The current like trend is that both PlayStation and Xbox are going to be supporting 8K gaming at 120 frames per second.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, more color, more color. If you thought your living room was bright before, it's going to be bright as shit now. For me, it's the FPS. 120 FPS would be disgusting. Like, everybody's all about 4K, 8K, all these Ks. That really just has to do with color rendering. The smoothness of how the game plays, the smoothness of how a camera tracks across a screen, that has to do with frame rate. And to me, that's where we should be pioneering in gaming and in film and things like that, is because it just, the higher the hertz on your TV, if you have a really nice TV with 120, 240 hertz, you can definitely tell it's a different viewing experience. You know, the colors, the human eye can only pick up so many colors, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to have the best picture for that hawk on the light pole outside my house. This is the only one that can see that shit. You know, but the frame rate is what kind of got me excited. 120 FPS. It'll be really interesting to see how video games play out.
Yeah, I mean, it'll mean nothing to me, but
because you won't own it right away.
Because my old 1990s tube TV won't matter either. But the initial specs, they haven't come out with the actual specs yet. I haven't seen anything that announces. What they've promised is 8 times the computing power and no increase in decibels, as far as, no increase in sound or noise coming from the machine compared to the Xbox One, which is already a pretty quiet device. So if they're really going to be able to deliver on increasing the processing capability by 8 times without any change to its quietness, I think.
But I have the One X. I play a lot of my video games in 4K, and there are times where you hear that fan spinning, boy. Like, there are times where my Xbox does get a little, I wouldn't say loud, but it's just like, oh, you working? like, calm down, bro. Like, I didn't know I was maxing that out.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there's going to be some better cooling elements in this thing, as it now looks like a PC. I mean, it really looks like a PC tower.
Yeah, when are we going to have a video game system just encased in like gel in a fish tank?
A cooling gel, yeah.
A non-conductive cooling gel. Yeah, I did see the way it looks. I don't mind it. It's more looking like a PC tower than a gaming console. But if you're demanding power that's equivalent to a top-notch gaming PC, man, you can't just have it in these nice compact little units. You know what I mean? They got to have space. They got to have airflow. They got to have certain things. So you're going to get a big box now.
Yeah, I'm sure the arguers of the master race of PC gamers are are throwing a little criticism that that Xbox is
They ain't got nowhere to
look
fucking
like
talk,
it, but
man. I was just at a kid's birthday party yesterday, and dude's a big PC gamer, and his motherfucking tower looked like a mini fridge. Like, I swear to God, I thought I was going to pull a can of pop out the side of this motherfucker. I was like, you game on that thing? Like, you got a separate generator on the side of your house set up for this motherfucker? Like, holy shit. You know? But, hey, to each his own.
yeah, I think with the computing power as it improves on the Xbox, you should be able to compete, at least be somewhat competitive with
in a
what people can do.
in a certain window. I mean, once the Xboxes are 2 years old, new videos hardware comes out. Like, you can't,
Well, not to mention the Xbox, is probably going to have a price point around $500. You're not building a gaming PC for $500.
And that's always the point. Is when I bought the One X, it's like, yeah, you can have a gaming PC that's more powerful, but you just drop $1,500 on it. Like for $500, you get out the door with what would be in the, upper class of gaming performance. Another thing they're adding that I did enjoy, they showed the controller. I guess the controller's slightly a little bit bigger. I'm always down for bigger controllers rather than smaller. I have huge monkey hands, so it's hard for me to. My Switch, I'm struggling playing the Switch because it's so thin. And I got these big, clunky construction worker hands. But they put a share button actually on the controller. So no longer do you have to yell at your Kinect or do the double tap of the light button and then find. Like, it's just a one button on your controller, quick sharing. You get back to your game. I think that's really interesting. Others, I guess, have it. So they said they didn't invent it, but Xbox does a great job of listening to feedback. Like, I've always said that they're quick with their updates. They do what the fans want, with the backwards. They were first to backwards compatibility. They've been pioneers for cross-platform. They hear the fans. They want to give the fans what they want, and I do have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, we'll just see if their big draw was, or the letdown in Xbox One versus PS4 was really no strong exclusive content, especially at launch, whatever else. So supposedly they've got 15 different studios right now working on 15 different launch-ready or near-launch titles to go out. So Xbox or Microsoft has bought a bunch of game studios in the last couple of years, and it looks like they've done that all in preparation to have pretty much everybody working for exclusive content coming out at the beginning of their launch.
I don't know how much longer that's gonna last. You don't really have too many games that are really good that are that exclusive. I mean, like, PlayStation always rests its hat on that, but they got 4 games that are exclusive to PlayStation that everybody wants to play. Like, are we really going to buy multiple systems for 3 games? Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of that asshole that will buy a PlayStation just to play 3 games. But, like, I just don't see the future game developers wanting to limit the exposure of a game they took 5 years to develop because PlayStation's willing to throw, them a separate pile of money just so that they're only PlayStation. Or
I think the data supports that it does matter, and still does matter, and it probably is just because at that point of a decision, when you have to make a decision between an Xbox or a PlayStation when you're buying a new console, part of it's going to factor into it is, I really want to play Red Dead Redemption, or I really want to play whatever PlayStation, God of War,
Last of Us, of Us, God of War, Spider-Man.
And when it comes down to that decision point, if you want to play one specific game, then you go, all right, I'll get PlayStation now. You just never buy Xbox.
You have the next rendition of MLB The Show, which was always one of the major PlayStation exclusives. They're going multi-platform. They're giving up their Sony exclusivity so that they can have MLB The Show on Xbox.
So game developers, it doesn't make sense for game developers to be exclusive, which is why Microsoft has bought game development companies. because it doesn't support the bottom line of a game development company to be exclusive.
And to me, that's just a roll of the dice. Yeah, you're gonna have these Sony and Xbox, Nintendo. They're all gonna buy developing houses, and it's a roll of the dice whether they make a successful game enough to where they want. But the major players, the major video game developers or people that know they got something good, I don't see them wanting to give up exclusivity. I think they want the accolades, they want the sales. So yeah, you're going to have Xbox and Sony are always going to have their own in-house developers, but at that point it's just a crapshoot whether they make a good game or not.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Xbox is just going to ride Master Chief to death. You're going to get those perpetual titles.
Well, I mean, with them going to anywhere gaming, they've expanded their base. You know what I mean? So Xbox isn't trying to go after the PlayStation market; they're going after the PC market.
Yeah, and the mobile market, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's part of what they're trying to do. But yeah.
So like they're even realizing that, by having only our games, even like Halo and stuff on consoles, we're pigeonholing ourselves to a certain audience. And, they're doing a decent thing by not trying to pick a fight with Sony, but by saying, look, we're Microsoft. We've made computers for fucking forever. You know what I mean? Like, why are we not putting our video games on computers for the computer players? And I think the success of the Master Chief Collection on PC right now is showing that exclusivity isn't really where it's at anymore. It'll be something some people rest their head on, but I don't think it's the future of consoles.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where the future of consoles are. Our prediction that Stadia was going to change the game. Maybe it does, but
yeah,
right now,
that was a little.
They're still not doing well.
I bought an internet splitter so I could hardwire mine. I just got it, but with Christmas coming up and stuff, I haven't had time to take down my TV and run some extra cords and stuff like that. But I did buy a splitter. I am going to hardwire it. I'm going to try to see if they improve that thing at all. But man,
have you tried it again since launch?
Twice, and just
not impressed.
I can't play it. Knowing I got a $500 Xbox upstairs that'll run smooth as shit, I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. My refund is processed, so I bowed out. I'm done. All right. Well, let's move on now that we're talking about internet speeds. Let's jump into some tech news, and one big piece in tech news as we go forward with the future of what the internet's going to be and our internet service providers. Amazon has been approved by the FCC this last week to move forward with their internet service provider, and we talked about this a couple months ago that Amazon's looking to launch a little over 3,200 low orbit satellites, way less than the 12,000 that Starlink has planned, and up to 42,000 is what Starlink is permitted for. But Amazon, with their Kuiper company, so if you ever hear the company Kuiper, that is an Amazon company that is going to be putting out this constellation of satellites for internet, a little over 3,200 total satellites. They've been approved to start testing that next year.
Yeah, I'm interested that so Elon's doing satellites in Starlink, Amazon's doing satellites with Kuiper, but Google has been putting fiber optics in the ground now for
yeah, they're
years.
Gonna be pissed.
But I'm wondering, like, which is the one that's going to pan out. I'm not sold on satellite. Satellite TV is shit. Satellite TV is shit.
We know some data. We talked about a couple weeks ago, right? The Air Force tested it, and they were able to maintain while in flight.
But you're above the stratosphere while in flight.
Yeah, but so the distance between I actually just looked this up because I was curious what is low orbit and what's the difference, right? So traditional satellites, when you talk about satellite TV, the distance of those satellites in orbit when you talk about satellite TV is 22,000 miles. That's far. What we're talking about with what we're talking about with low orbit satellites.
Thanks for that info. That is far.
What we're talking about with low orbit, these low orbit satellites, is 90 miles. So the distance from ground to satellite is as low as 90 miles. So this is why the speed in this low orbit
but it's
constellation
still
is going to be significant.
There's a giant nimbus cloud in between there, and that's what scares me. Is because you get a big ass gray cloud, you're missing the football game.
No, that is not true. But it
is true. I've been at houses watching games with satellite.
With
you
satellite
lose
TV,
signal.
Completely different spectrums of wave propagation, of actual signal propagation.
We'll see, motherfucker. We'll see.
So it should work significantly better. We'll see over time. But again, when you have potentially 12,000 satellites in orbit, eventually, that's going to take years and years in order to actually put out there. But that speed is going to be important. The reason why I say it's going to kill fiber, Google Fiber's program, is because that's international, right? That's worldwide internet. So the amount of money of bringing internet to these countries that don't have any access to broadband, this is where they're going to make all their money. Google's going to see this and they're going to jump in that game because
we'll see.
Because you're going to
Fiber has its own infrastructure. Fiber has its own infrastructure problems.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're going to keep fighting for permits to dig in the ground when you could just reuse rockets and send it out to space.
See, but I don't know. I see like openings in municipal providing, so Google provides the internet for municipalities, so you could buy the internet from your municipalities. There are, for me, I would always have my faith in a landline.
Sure.
I mean, satellite, cell phones still drop calls. We've had those motherfuckers for 20, 30 years. Cell phones still drop calls. Satellites are not a perfect system. I get this is all new and hopefully it works, but giving past, the track record of satellite communications that we've had over time, they're not flawless. Let's not act like everything always works all the time. People are constantly bitching about AT&T coverage or Verizon coverage, or you know what I mean? This is all the same premise.
Yeah, it is. But none of that is existing in low Earth orbit. All traditional satellites, everything that's run in the telecom industry currently is at that 22,000 mile range. And now we're looking at 90, 100 miles to 1,200 miles, closing that distance to the ground, and then also having significantly more in this constellation formation.
Well, they have to have more because they're so close. The reason why those satellites are so far is so they can cover a greater area.
Yeah, so they can cover much larger swaths of area.
We have still yet to see if having 50,000 satellites whizzing around the goddamn planet is going to be a good idea.
Oh, it's not going to be, but we're gonna get
remember. I said Sven only has to shoot a rocket 90 miles to take one of these out.
Yeah, but if there's 1,200 of them, who gives a shit?
The house that motherfucker crashed on, he gives a shit.
He's probably going to take one out that's been inoperable anyway. I think the first two launches had a 10% fail rate that they're just up there as space junk already, that they just didn't work upon launch. So. We'll see. I think there's 120 from Starlink out there now. They have another launch, I think, scheduled at the end of this month to get another 60 out there. So this low Earth orbit satellite stuff, it's moving forward, which takes.
I don't know. As of right now, if you gave me the option the two, I'd probably go Google Fiber.
Sure, as of right this second, but I think the future is in this satellite provided internet.
Yeah, I mean, as we have, cars now that also are mobile hotspots.
Yeah.
So you have your own Wi-Fi network in your car, so everybody can connect their devices. That shit's all gonna have to run off a Starlink system and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's a good idea. I have my doubts, but I do like the tech, so I'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. But when a motherfucker's gaming on it and it just lags out and his ping rate goes to the goddamn moon, it's not going to shock me either.
Yeah, I know. I'm really curious. The Starlink will start rolling it out in I want to say parts of the U.S. Commercially, I think as early as next year. Again, Amazon's going to start testing it next summer, their internet next summer. So we'll start getting some actual.
I just think it's funny, like Amazon, Google, and Elon just all like they're in this like 3-way fist fight for space and tech dominance. Like it's interesting to watch how they're just dumping ungodly amounts of money into all these programs.
Yeah, and multi-domain, right? They're not leaving anything untouched. They're going to try to dominate all areas of potential growth.
It's gonna be insane. Another 50 years, like when I'm an old ass man, I'm really like curious as to how it's gonna be. Like they're just sucking up everything they can, you know, and if there's a company that has a better idea, they just buy it. They just fucking buy it. You know? Like the minute Amazon bought Ring, Google was like, oh shit, we'll buy Nest. Like, what's the next big one? Nest, buy it, dump money into it, let's go. Like, it's just like, holy shit, man.
Well, to wrap up one other topic along this line, when we talk about Starlink and this Amazon Kuiper, one of the big concerns coming from us celestial beings down here on Earth is you're going to ruin our starry sky with all these low Earth orbit satellites.
When I see something blinking in the sky, I'm not sure if it's a star or a satellite now.
Yeah, and Elon he's tweeted and he's discussed in this last week that he is committed to figuring out a way to make the solar cells that are on the satellite arms less reflective, because they are currently able to be spotted. They are disrupting portions of. I
think Neil deGrasse Tyson wrote a heavily worded email.
He wrote heavily worded tweets that he's previously said. But yeah, I want to say there was a big meteor shower day a couple weeks ago. That there were videos and images of people who were trying to see this meteor shower event, and the Starlink constellation satellites moving through disrupted their ability to view it. It's a concern, especially once you get to like 40,000 of them in orbit. Again, we're talking about Amazon with Kuiper and Starlink, but they're not the only two companies doing this. There's half a dozen other ones that are also
and that's why like everybody laughs when you hear that Trump and the United States are trying to develop a space force. Like, with people shooting this much shit into outer space, I think we kind of might need a group that is like, whoa guys, like that's a lot of junk orbiting our planet. Maybe somebody should regulate all this. Like, I don't think I think it's unfair to think that we don't need some organization that only focuses on what's going on in space.
Yeah, no, I mean, we definitely, I think Space Force is a good idea. So it does sound funny when said out loud, but then it's like, no, you probably should.
They should have maybe did some testing on the branding. Space Force sounds a little too Galaxy Quest for everybody. You know, like I think that's a branding problem.
Again, let's move it back to Earth, and we've got more on Elon with his solar arm. He sent out some tweets this week, because there's always criticism on solar that it's not sustainable. It's not even worth putting time into. It can't be scalable. And he sent out some tweets with a map that talked about how essentially 100 kilometer by 100 kilometer.
Yeah, the dot on the map was so small.
Yeah, it's just saying 100 kilometers by 100 kilometers area of a solar farm or a solar panel could capture enough energy to more than adequately power the entire United States in a single 100 kilometer by 100 kilometer area. So for us U.S.-based human beings, that's about 60 miles. So and if you've ever driven through Texas or Arizona or whatever else, I've done it plenty of times, and man, I could drive 60 miles without ever seeing a fucking living thing. Like, there's plenty of space in the desert. Like, if you really wanted to understand, is that even doable? Yes, there is plenty of 60-mile drives of just dead wasteland in Texas.
Even out here in the Midwest, you get half hour outside of the city of Chicago, and it is corn as far as the eye can see. No trees blocking visibility, no hills, no nothing, just flat land and corn for days.
So, and he did this just as a thought experiment. He doesn't. I don't believe he thinks that it's a good idea to actually make a 60-mile by 60-mile box in the desert that collects all of the U.S. energy, because that would be foolish to have everything tied to one area.
Like, we should at least be powering Vegas with this. We should at least be powering, like, I'm not saying to power the whole nation, but the adjacent states, like the adjacent states.
Yeah, and I think, again, he was just doing this as a demonstration of like scientific principles that if you do the math and you calculate how many gigawatts is provided by a single square mile, and then you multiply that by, across the 60 by 60 box, it does provide like 2 times the amount of energy consumption per day by the United States. So the math supports it. It's obviously, it's not practical to do that all in one area. But
this is one of the industries that puzzles me, why the government isn't subsidizing this heavily. Everybody that I know that has solar panels on their house, love them. Their electric bill is gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do we need to build huge solar farms? Maybe not. You know what I mean? Should every Walmart have solar panels all over this tarred roof that they're doing nothing with? Of course. Should we be subsidizing home systems so that you get great tax breaks at the end of the year, or that homeowners are investing into solar panels? For sure. I want to say that I read an article that California is passing a building code that is stating that every new house built after a certain year has to be built with solar panels on the top. Like, these are...
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember seeing that, but yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if California's doing that.
I mean, I own my own electrical company. I kind of try to stay up on this, and I'm pretty sure that California is floating the idea of telling all the builders from here on out, after 2021, 2022, it's a mandate, and we do that with building codes for all kinds of things. You know what I mean? Like, we have in Chicago some of the highest building standards in the nation, and I don't see why this is a bad thing. We standardize radon systems. We're making everybody suck out gas underneath their foundations that for 100 years nobody knew of and nobody gave a shit about. But now it's standard for safety reasons to do all these kinds of building codes. Well, like, why is it bad to pass a building code that isn't just for safety, but is for the benefit of society, for, to release, stop some of the amount of power using from ComEd, so we can limit the amount of coal we burn and things like that. Like, I'm all for it. I don't understand why we're not dumping money into this industry.
What I haven't seen Elon address when he talked, he does this rough calculation, is we still haven't cracked the code on power storage. We can create that much power, but how do we store it to adequately provide it to people at night when that farm is dark and when there is significant cloud coverage for a 2-week period?
That's a valid problem, but to me, that's a problem that we can solve after we get the ball rolling on powering everybody during the day. So if we can cut out half, 12 hours, of the power usage of this country from coal and other things, then, maybe like the new nuclear plants are an option, because they only run at night then. Like, we're only powering our country or our neighborhoods with the existing grid for that nighttime. And nighttime is where people use the least amount of electricity. You don't have your TVs running. Your lights are off for the majority of night.
Yeah, You mentioned nuclear. That's where I'd rather see our smartest people spend their time, is just let's take the scientific ban on how to further nuclear energy, nuclear research, and let's do that. Let's get those. It's more reliable. It's safer. It's cleaner than anything we're using today uses far less land and far less land destruction than what you would need for solar farming.
Yeah, I've listened to a few nuclear physicists come on podcasts and talk about where we're at right now if we wanted to go with new nuclear plants, and it's a fraction of the size of what we used to have to use, and the waste that comes off them is minuscule. The amount of uranium needed to run these things now is minuscule.
Yeah, and you talk about, some people talking about thorium being, thorium reactors can't exist today. But again, put the smartest scientific minds on researching thorium, and that it's not natively radioactive. So it's not even radioactive before you use it. There's much safer if it can ever be feasible, right? We don't know because it's not really receiving significant research funding.
And also Elon's developing the home battery. So if you pass building codes that say that you have to have solar, you could also pass a building code that says you have to have one of these home packs, and they hold a charge that will power your house for up to 8 hours. So if you're generating solar energy all day and putting the access not into some giant large battery in a field somewhere, but into tinier batteries that are stored in everybody's houses, that's also another way to mitigate that. I've really have done a lot of reading on this, the home packs and the solar panels, and I do think that it is not the end all solution, but we should definitely be pushing towards that direction.
I think so. I think we should definitely be incorporating it better, especially in areas like Arizona, New Mexico, California. It's really easy to generate significant amount of solar. So I think it should happen, and I'm just glad to see that Elon's able to start refocusing his energy here, as he was able to get that pedo guy case behind him as he won that lawsuit last week, or 2 weeks ago. He was able to finally put that to bed when he called that scuba diver a pedo guy, and man, his lawyers worked a number on that case. They were able to prove that that him calling that guy pedo guy was not really accusing him of being a pedophile, that where he grew up in his neighborhood, pedo guy was just a normal insult that you just called people.
Yeah, well, I mean, for American terms, I guess you would say it's like motherfucker. Do I really think you fuck your mom? No. But I'm still gonna call you a motherfucker.
Now I'm trying to think somewhere in our history, when that term started becoming popular, somebody got sued for defamation for accusing them of fucking their mother.
Brought his mom on trial, ma'am, have you ever had sexual relations with your son? No. But now everyone thinks I have.
Yeah. But I think they had to use yearbook quotes and things from his town, get character witnesses from where he grew up, to just say no, yeah, we used to call any creepy ass person a pedo guy. It had nothing to do with them fucking kids. We just.
No, I mean, and that's the thing with language. You get, you drop the C word in the United States, a lot of people gonna be mad. Britain, it rolls off the tongue like nothing. They don't give no shits. So he was able to prove that no, it's not that bad of a term where I come from. If you got caught in your feels, sorry about it, but the way I sent it isn't the way you took it, and I don't give a shit how you took it, so eat it.
All right, let's move out of all this Elon and space talk, and I guess one article that we shared was China's unveiled a first ever, what they're calling a trackless train.
Yeah, which we deemed a giant bus.
I mean, that's essentially what it looks like. It kind of looks trainy in the sense that it's got a kind of like an engine car. It's modular, can tow multiple compartments, and then it's where it was demonstrated. It was demonstrated that it was rolling over these dots on the ground, and it essentially follows it like a track, and it's completely autonomous. So there is no drivers, no nothing. It follows a pre-designated track, just no steel beams put anywhere. It's
yeah. I think we're going to have to get a definitive answer on what makes something qualify as a train, because if it's not on rails, it's not a train. That's my assumption. You know, maybe there's somebody that's got the Webster's dictionary term and it's anything that follows a guide or a guided system. But I don't think that's how it works, because they got them Kittyland rides where you get in that little farm car that's on that single rail that you can turn left and right. But if you go too far left, it bumps you right back on the rail. I ain't calling that motherfucker a train.
I mean, I agree, but it might be because of its cargo capacity. So again, it's modular in the sense that it can be used for personnel.
Well, Chicago's got them
cargo.
like double-decker buses. Like, so the minute it's got 2 modules, now it's a train. So we got mini trains driving the streets of Chicago everywhere.
Well, but those are largely personnel driven. These are not only for moving people; it's for moving cargo. It's for moving. Again, it has the ability to move a lot of different stuff. We're really arguing semantics here about the term train. In the end, it's just kind of a cool story. Again, just showing innovation taking place in other countries, right?
I'm gonna call it a mega van.
So the mega van, it's a cool concept, a completely autonomous transit system. Again, has some significant payload. It can tow a lot, and it's autonomous, just following essentially just guided roads.
You figure it's got to be easier to gain access to places if you just have to pave roads with sensors in them rather than putting down entire new rail systems. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and cheaper to maintain.
Yeah, we're good at building roads. You know, I don't see too many new train tracks going down anywhere.
Yeah. So it's just a cool technology coming out of China right now.
It is sad though that they have gone, like, they got bullet trains, now they got mega vans, like, and we can't get a speed train from LA to Vegas for the life of us. You know,
well, we did get Elon trying to dig a tunnel in LA.
We're relying on a crazy rich man digging holes in the ground to provide us these services, while China is just spearheading all kinds of modes of transportation. Like, we don't have a lot of people that got to go places here or something. Like,
no, but we're all perfectly happy with all of us owning our own car. Like, the concept of public transportation is, unless you live in like New York City. Public transportation is for the peasant class. You get your own car, you drive yourself by yourself with nobody else in it, wherever you need to go.
Dump that carbon monoxide into the atmosphere.
Like we would have to drastically shift our mindset before we actually look at it as a priority, because the government, again, the China can force us as a government run thing. Here, it has to be a profitable thing in order for it to actually happen, and no, it's not profitable for new public transit systems to be developed.
Yeah, it's sad. It's just really sad.
All right.
I'm gonna keep that one to myself. It's all right. I'm gonna keep that one to myself.
That's unfortunate. All right, let's move into. So we've got some cyber talk. These next couple topics will link back to our Cantina conversation that we had with Bill Clay on cybersecurity, and these are just reinforcing topics, all that's happened in the last week. So 2 days ago, so on Friday, from where we're recording on Monday, but on Friday of this last week, the city of New Orleans had to declare a state of emergency after a cyber attack where they had to shut down all of their government systems. They had to go to emergency radio systems in order to communicate with cops and dispatch and ambulance. Everything had to go down to just old school radios. Had to shut down all of their systems due to threat of a cyber attack. And this is the first one that I've ever seen hit. Like, this was CNN. This was talked about throughout the
I was gonna say, I'm not quite sure if this is just getting more popular, or if because we did that episode, we are now in the algorithm of cyber attacks to get fed to our news feed. But yeah, like, this is actually the second
CNN's
story.
homepage, though. This was on like CNN, MSN's homepage. This was on major news networks, kind of up front.
And I want to say this was the second article I've seen in the last 2 weeks about a municipal cyber attack.
Yeah, so this one to me sounded, I'm sure the tech person, I'm not sure actually. It's a government-run agency, so I'm not sure that they're more competent than me. But the tech person who made the decision to encourage them to declare a state of emergency, shut down the systems, it seemed like maybe they jumped the gun a little bit. I haven't seen anything that said that there was actually any data loss, that there was any loss of systems control or anything. What it was they were receiving in their government servers essentially phishing scam emails with malware, and they shut the system down because they're receiving a bunch of emails. Which I
think is fine, because you wake up in the middle of the night, you catch a guy walking around your house. Just because he didn't steal anything yet doesn't mean you shouldn't fucking shoot him and throw him out of your house.
But it's not hard to get a list of government emails and to send out. Like, if you're going to shut down just because the Nigerian prince is sending everybody an email, like, all right, that might be overreacting a bit to shut down government services.
Well, they said they found ransomware on the network.
So that's something that I haven't seen confirmed. So the press release that they came out with said that there was no known employees that clicked on any of the links from the emails. There was no known actual cyber intrusions or infected systems. That it was done because as a precaution. So I tend to believe that maybe they're underplaying that, and their press release is not telling us the whole picture, because I sure hope they didn't shut it down just because they got a bunch of fucking emails.
Well, I mean, this could also be a way for New Orleans to get a free federal upgrade to their infrastructure.
It's very possible, because the FBI and everybody, because they declared it a state of emergency, the FBI and everybody else had to respond to come and now.
So if they didn't have a really bad hit and they just did this to hit the big red button so that the government will come in and throw a bunch of money at New Orleans, I think you're going to see this happening in a few other cities too. Like,
yeah, and this does come on the heels. So I also found while researching this article that in the last month, the Louisiana state government actually did have cyber intrusion. About 10% of their systems are still down today. So the Louisiana state government has had over a month that 10% of their systems have been completely taken offline. They actually had damage to their servers, to their system through a cyber intrusion. So, New Orleans, they might be hypersensitive to seeing this coming, because they're also dealing with the effects that their state has been affected, that there are still services that are supposed to be provided to the citizens that are not available.
At what point do we have, because I want to say like the FBI handles a lot of this, but I think this is going to get to a point where you need your own division, like your own kind of like FBI, CIA, NSA, and then some kind of just...
Oh, we don't need any more three-letter agencies.
We do. I think we do. I really think we do. Because I think just putting everything on the FBI it's just Band-Aids. It's just Band-Aids. Like, we're waiting for these things to happen, and then they happen, and we try to go in and fix them. I think having an agency of just crazy tech dudes like Bill constantly being on the forefront of these things and letting hackers know that there is a specific agency that is going to try to find you and try to prosecute you to the fullest. I think we divvy out too many things to one agency. I remember when I had a buddy in college was making fake IDs, and the Secret Service came and raided his room. I was like, Secret Service? I was like, the fucking Secret Service doing here, And we get these problems and we just divvy them out to government agencies. Like, who wants to handle the fake ID guys? And fucking, they're just like, give it to the guys in the sunglasses. Like, we ain't got time for this shit. And the Secret Service is like, really? No, we got to track, some college kid that's just trying to get into the bars. Like, so I don't know. I think tech is becoming such a big part of our life that we can't just relegate it to dudes in their 50s in suits that barely can read their emails.
I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer to it with another agency. The FBI should be able to manage these things, but really the states and everybody else needs to just step up how many people they keep on payroll with this specific purpose. If state agencies, government agencies, and things don't have somebody on their payroll that their sole job is with a team of people to protect against cyber intrusion and to detect these things, they're exposing a lot of potential harm both to their infrastructure, but also to citizens, because there's a lot of data collected at the government level,
and it's our tax dollars that's got to pay people to fix this shit. Like when things go wrong in municipalities and things got to get fixed, and they bring people in to do this stuff, people got to get paid. Like nobody's doing this for free, and that money comes from our pockets. I think I would like them to take this a little more seriously, so that we're not spending tens or hundreds of millions putting band-aids on these problems just so they can keep happening.
I'll transition to the next story because it just shows that most of that stuff's not even going to be effective. Because the next story is Facebook. There was a thief who stole payroll data for what was over 100,000 people's data from Facebook. And so payroll data, they got bank account information, they got social security numbers, they got all of that. And you think that's a big deal. You know how they stole that money? How they stole all that data?
How'd they get it?
They found a hard drive in somebody's car. They broke into somebody's car who had a flash drive full of all these people's data. So go ahead and think that the FBI or any agency is going to stop these highly sophisticated attacks or whatever else, because in the end, human beings suck, and you don't know how many thumb drives exist right now with all of your information. That some government dude, that some company, that whatever else. We got
armored cars that with four-armed guards that'll carry bags of money back and forth, but we have our data is worth just as much, and we trust it with Bob in his Altima.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. Like, go ahead and think that you're going to defeat this with another three-letter agency or whatever else, because in the end, and Bill even talked about it, the greatest vulnerability in any network is the human beings that work on that network, work within that network, or whatever else. It's not the actual system itself. Because that's hard work, but it's not hard to break into someone's car.
Man, with a dedicated government technology agency, we could pass laws of protocols on how people have to handle sensitive data.
They already exist.
I'm pretty sure there's not a protocol that allowed Bob to take that laptop with all that pertinent information home with him. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. Like, we're going to need new protocols, new standards, and I don't want Congress or old, people that didn't grow up in the tech era to make these decisions. Like we need a group of eggheads that are saying like, look, this data is almost priceless now. Like people can do horrible things with this data. You can't, anytime somebody asks me to fill out a paper form that has my social security number on it, I wince. I have to fill out 1099 forms and W-9s for doing business with companies. And it's like, you have two options on a W-9. I could either put in my social security number, or I could put in my tax ID number for my LLC. I always opt for the tax ID number because I know I'm not writing that 9-digit number on a sheet of paper and handing it to someone and just being like, yeah, they're going to take care of it. Like they're gonna treat that number with the proper care that it deserves, because it's got my entire life attached to it, and someone could ruin my entire existence by having that 9-digit number.
Again, Bob doesn't care.
No, Bob don't care. So you get my tax ID number. You don't get my social.
Seat. Yeah.
But we're going to need higher protocols for these things. And I don't trust Facebook or any of these companies to give a damn enough to do it. And then if you get caught with this data out in the open, if you get caught stealing this data, the penalties should be harsh.
Let's shift to one more scary cyber attack. And and see how you defeating this one. So we talk about the government agency and maybe a 3-letter agency helping. Then we talk about Facebook and maybe rules and regulations to protect, the storing of data or whatever else by all these companies, so that way Bob can't get hacked. And then now you got all these Internet of Things devices. We talked about Ring and Nest already on the show, but Ring cameras that were hacked. And there's video footage of a dude.
This is very misleading titles. This is very misleading titles, just like we did last week. When you hear Nest camera hacked, Ring camera hacked, you instantly think it's a flaw in the product. Yeah. You instantly think it's a flaw in the product. Which, if I was Ring and Nest, I would be dumping mad money into awareness of, like, look, if some weirdo is yelling at your kid through your Ring camera, it's because you got a shitty password, lady. Like, the name of your dog plus 123 is not a secure password enough to not have weirdos yelling racial slurs at your child.
But so this is part of the problem, though, with the Internet of Things nonsense, is that they're all creating these internet-enabled devices, and none of them give a fuck about their own security. So it is part of a problem. Like, the fact that somebody can go into a Ring, like, yeah, got it. They got into your network. But why don't you have your own protection, your own firewall, your own password, app-specific, password-protected way?
Because humans are dumb, and they'll get inundated with customer service calls because now people can't access their own or set up their own Ring camera.
Yeah, but I'm not defending. Again, this is still on Ring and Nest to figure this out. But
no, it's not. It's on you to have a decent password. Someone got your password. They couldn't get into your bank. They couldn't get it, but they got into your email, and they were just like, let's just try everything that they're attached to. We talked about this with Bill, and they're just going to go and they're going to go down the line and see what they can hack with that login that they got from you. So if they have one login to one thing, they're going to try that login on everything. And guess what? It worked on their Ring network. So they were able to hack into their Ring network, and they did some scary, weird shit. It's still the human aspect that is the flaw.
Potentially, right? Yes. But
no, not potential. Actually, this was actual. This wasn't potential. This happened.
I still want my Internet of Things devices to come with built-in security and better security as well. So, yes, do I want to?
But then you also make it to where you need a technology background to install these units.
No, not to just come up with a password. Not to just to properly put in a password, or to have
the whole reason why this is a problem is because of a password.
Maybe.
No, actually, like that's how it happened. They got the login to their something, tried that login. The login worked on the Ring, so they started fucking with their Ring. Same thing happened with the Nest. They got their login for something. They hacked their Gmail, used that same email address and login for the Nest, hacked into their Nest. Like, that's exactly how it goes. So having another password on that network, for Internet of Things, if you just use the same shitty password you use for everything, you're not doing anything.
That's true. I mean, yes, people are going to always suck, but it is absolutely known that all of these devices have shitty security protocols within themselves. But they're not being hacked because of those shitty internet protocols. They're being hacked because of your human shitty internet protocol. So until someone's just like, look, I had the most random secure password, like it's written on a goddamn, Post-it that's in my safe that only I know, and it's every other letter's a capital, and it's not even a word. It's just gibberish, and I'm the only one that knows it. Until you can show me that dude that got hacked from some outer portion of Ring, went into Ring's like servers, and then came in through the Ring back door or something like that. No, it's fucking Brenda. Don't make the fucking password the name of your goddamn Yorkie. Like, fucking step your P word game up, dude. Or these companies should just assume people suck and force two-factor authentication and force better security protocols than what shitty human beings we have.
I've installed probably over 20 Ring cameras in the last 3 months. I had one client have her house broken into. They put Ring floodlight cameras on every wall of their exterior house. So their whole perimeter now is ringed the fuck up. And then because they loved it so much, they referred me out to like 4 of their coworkers and everything. And I just started installing Ring cameras like fucking crazy. If you make it any harder to like for these people to attach them to their phones and set up their network, they're losing business. I'm telling you right now. I install the camera for these people, and then I watch them try to figure out how to integrate them all. And I said, just give me your phone. Here, look, we scan this little thing, and then we do this. So now part of my installation is also downloading the app for grandma. What's your email, grandma? Like, here, make your own password. I don't want to see it. Like, I do the whole 9 on these installs now. You make it any harder than that, it's going to affect their sales. Because people won't be able to do it. They're going to buy it. They're going to get to the setup point. They're not going to be able to do it. They're going to say, fuck this thing. I'm going back to my motion sensor floodlight.
Well, then, yeah, you don't get a Ring camera.
But, I mean, that's like, you're always the one defending corporations and profit margins and shit. So how do you not defend them for not having this to not affect their sales?
There's a way. If they focus on security, there is a way to make these more secure, and not to necessarily even make it significantly
There hasn't been one case that proves they're unsecure.
I don't know about that.
Man, find me homework for the week.
We'll
find me the one that got hacked through Ring. You find that one. As of right now, every time you see one of these stories, it's because they had a shitty fucking password on their home network.
Yeah, I mean, because you have to get into the network first. I mean, it does start there. You have to get into the network first, but then it's the fact that these Internet of Things devices have extremely weak security, so that all they have to do is get into the internet.
When the hacker finally hacks Ring, when the hacker finally hacks Ring, and they get access to 100,000 separate cameras and can pick whatever one they want because they're in on Ring's side of the network. Then I'll be like, okay, yeah, no, they fucked up. They got to step up their shit. But as long as the only time someone can access this camera and do these fucking weirdo things to kids and people in their homes, until that part of it is not attached to the homeowner being too lazy to create a unique password, I'm not putting the onus on the Internet of Things devices.
It's where they're getting into these Internet of Things devices. They're getting into the network, getting into the Internet of Things devices, and then they're able to backdoor their way into your computer or your phone or into your more secure devices by being in a shared network into that device. So the fact that they can get fully into that device once they're into your network. Again,
Brenda's the weakest link in this scenario.
Humans are always the weakest link. All right, well, we will revisit this because I'll do some more research to show this. But,
I just still don't understand why I have a thumb scanner on my goddamn phone. Why do I not have one attached to my PC? Why can I not just take a USB that has a thumb scanner and anything I plug that USB into, that's my password? Like, give me that. Put a fucking eye scanners. We got optical scanners all over the goddamn place. iPhones recognize people's faces. Like, you can't even unlock your phone unless the phone scans your goddamn grill.
I don't know. Biometric data scares me because whatever you can, if people can find their way around there's only one biometric thing, and once they have your fingerprint or once they have the ability to replicate your fingerprint or whatever else, they have access to everything because you can't change it, right? You can change a password. You can't change your fucking fingerprint. You can't change your
yeah, but I don't know.
So the fact that things over rely on biometrics would actually scare me.
This is where we got to have Bill back because I don't know if people are hacking those biometrics like that.
No, not right now. But
yeah, not right now. I mean, until the day I see people walking around thumbless because somebody cut off their goddamn thumb to hack their shit, okay, I'll worry. You know, but
they're gonna be fucking 3D printing your fingerprint. So watch you.
No, that's actually an idea. But I don't know if that's how it works.
Me neither. Let's move outside of this tech stuff. We got to wrap up as we've hit our hour mark. So, last topics or
all right, last one. You want to go last one? What are we doing for last one? We got dinosaurs' tails preserved in amber. We got We got an internet influencer pistol whipping people for domain names.
Yeah, let's do the influencer. The dinosaur tail one's pretty quick. Dinosaurs are not extinct. Dinosaurs are birds. Recent dinosaur tail has feathers on it, so dinosaurs never went extinct.
Just clone one of these fuckers and get it over with. Just clone one and get it over with. Go to the moon. Go to the moon. Make a big cage. Clone a dinosaur. If it gets scary, hit the eject button. I'll be happy.
All right, but let's let you give us a quick summary of the influencer jailed, because this is just a fun story.
Yeah, this is kind of fun. So someone posts a bunch of videos of the University of Iowa, like parties, just girls gone wild kind of stuff, I'm assuming, and sends it to his website, like doitfortheschool.com.
Do it for the state, right?
Do it for the state.com. But his is doit4thestate.com. And he's got over 1 million followers. He's making a career out of this. He's really liking it. Well, he wanted to own the other domain, Do It For The State, with the word for, FOR, because I'm assuming anytime he does some promo, some people Google the wrong thing and he's sending traffic to this other site, and he wants all of the traffic.
Yeah, he wants his money. Well,
he went to GoDaddy, got this dude's personal information, called him a bunch of times, and the guy's like, "Yeah, no, fuck you. You're sending me mad free hits. I'm doing whatever I want with this site. I'm not selling it to you." So dude drove to his house, kicked in his door with a pistol, tied him up, pistol whipped him a bunch of times, tried to get him to sign over the data. And I think he actually got him to sign it said in the article. But during some of the pistol whipping, while they were doing this, the guy was able to get a hold of the gun, ended up shooting himself in the leg, and then shot this dude in the chest 3 times. And now dude's facing 20 years. He survives. Yeah. He survived. And now he's doing 20 years for what was the technical charge? That I thought that was one of the best things about it.
Yeah, I never pulled up. It was something about like consumer influencer.
Yeah, he's now Adams, initially a court-appointed lawyer, however, was ordered to repay. Yeah, and because his website is still making money while he's in jail, he's got to pay for all dude's legal fees with all the domain stuff. So not only did he not get the domain name, now he's paying for this dude's legal fees and everything like that. We live in a day and age where people are getting pistol whipped for .coms. Like that is beyond my that is beyond my realm of understanding how this all works. Like, dude went in there on some straight mafioso shit. It was like, give up the .com. He went in there and tried to make him an offer he couldn't refuse.
And ended up charged with 1 count of conspiracy to interfere with commerce by force, which is such a great.
What is that?
That's such a great rap sheet to have. Like if you're gonna do time,
what are you in here for? I tried to interfere with commerce, yo. I'm doing some hard time because I tried to interfere with commerce, man. Like that is so fucked up. I did that was the best part of the article for me, is when I read that charge. I was like, man, you are not telling anybody what you're in jail for when you're there.
No, just leave it as armed robbery.
Don't
tell them what you were trying to steal. Yeah. Just armed robbery.
I robbed a dude. Oh yeah. Would you try to steal? A Lexus? Yeah. Really? You're 20 years for a Lexus? Yeah. Big Lexus.
And the guy got your gun? And he shot himself and you?
Oh,
that's a great crime.
I know. Like I'm so glad dude got caught too, just because it kind of has a happy ending.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. That's it for this week's news. So, thank you for listening to the Nerd Cantina show here, episode 54. As always, we're going to ask you to hit subscribe button, share this thing. Let's grow the audience and hopefully continue to enjoy these episodes as we do our weekly wrap-ups here.
Yep, and we have a few good shows planning up. We're going to try to wrap our year out well. Next week we'll still do our weekly news show because we record on Mondays, but it will release, I think, on Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day.
Yeah, so maybe we'll have some jingle bells in the background or something for you. But then with 2019 wrapping up, closing the books on another year, closing the books on another decade, we're going to try to do some recap for you guys coming up in January. And got a new Fight Me Friday coming up on the decks, so stay tuned, for our new content coming out.
Yep.
And always
and definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel and get as Steve's going to come out of Star Wars, get his thoughts, and we'll, I'm sure, be talking about that in a spoiler filled exclusive that we'll do outside of the show as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna be up till 2 a.m. recording and trying to post that one because I can't wait to post that. There's gonna be 100 review videos up by the time I get home from work on Friday, so I'm just gonna have to grit and bear it. Do the recording, the editing, the posting, all that shit. It's gonna come up at like 3 a.m. on Friday morning, and then I'm gonna go to work at 7. Like, I give no fucks.
All right, well, subscribe and enjoy. Thanks again, nerds.
Take care.